Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're digging into something, well, maybe a little unsettling. We tend to think a good life means facing facts, right? Chasing truth, self-awareness, all that.
Exactly. We assume clarity is king. But what if that's not the whole story? What if to actually get out of bed, to get anything done,
Hmm?
we sort of have to lie to
We'll
ourselves?
lie to ourselves.
Well, maybe lie is strong, let's say. Swallow a few necessary illusions, vital self-deceptions, things we need to believe, even if they aren't strictly, true. Without them, the willpower just isn't there.
Okay, so that's our mission for this deep dive. We're exploring these specific blind spots, these functional fictions that maybe aren't problems, but actually kind of essential for us to flourish, the architecture of useful self-deception.
Precisely.
So where do we start? What's the biggest one?
The big one, the absolute cornerstone, you could say. It's the need to basically pretend we're not going to die.
Okay, wow. Straight into the deep end.
Well, it underpins everything. Think about it. If you really constantly felt the reality that you, everyone you love, everything, it's all temporary.
Yeah. Motivation might dip a bit.
Dip, it would evaporate. Why finish that report?
Yeah.
Why argue about whose turn it is to do the dishes? It creates what we might call a veil of urgency.
Veil of urgency, I like that. So we convince ourselves that everything we're doing right now, all the deadlines, the worries, they're incredibly important, urgent.
Exactly. It's a kind of productive panic, almost. Because without that veil, if you looked ahead, say, 100 years,
It all looks like dust.
pretty much
Yeah.
incomprehensible feudal mulch, as one source put it rather vividly. So that denial, that urgency,
Hmm.
that's the engine. It keeps us moving. It's a crucial bit of mental engineering.
That's a lot to take in. So if denying death is the big picture illusion, what about the more personal ones, the ones about us, our relationships?
Right, because that engine needs fuel, right?
Yeah.
Personal fuel. And that brings us to illusions about self-worth, about what other people think.
Ah, yes, the desperate need for approval.
We have to care, sometimes maybe too much, about what certain people think of us. We chase that recognition.
Even though, and here's the kicker, those people are mostly wrapped up in their own stuff, aren't they? They're probably not giving us nearly as much thought as we imagine.
That's the paradox. They hardly give us a thought, let alone a fair one, most of the time. But we have to believe their opinion matters, that we can win their approval. It drives us.
And what about connection, that idea that someone, somewhere, could just get us?
Completely. Another vital fiction. The hope of being perfectly understood, perfectly loved. We need to imagine it's possible.
Even though, if we're honest, perfect understanding between two separate minds, it's incredibly rare, maybe impossible.
Objectively.
Yeah.
Few things are more in doubt. We're fundamentally quite isolated in our own heads. But we cling to that hope. It makes relationships feel possible, worthwhile.
And this links to how we see ourselves too, doesn't it? We have to sort of defend ourselves.
Definitely. We need to stay on our own side. Vigorously defend our choices, our character, even against our own inner critic sometimes.
Because the unvarnished truth about our own thoughts and motives, it can be pretty messy, contradictory, maybe even a bit beastly.
Exactly. Deep down, we know how strange and complicated we are.
Mm-hmm.
But admitting the full extent of that, it could be paralyzing. So that self-defensive wall, it isn't just ego. It's maybe structural, necessary to feel like a coherent self who can face the day.
Okay, so we've got denial of death, illusions about approval, connection, and our own goodness. What about how we view the world outside ourselves, society, the future?
Yeah, moving outwards, we hit these big social and future-oriented blind spots. We're fundamentally invested in things moving forward, aren't we?
We like to think so. Progress,
Yeah.
the future being brighter.
Right. And that involves a kind of myth of linear excitement. Think
Yeah.
about New Year's Eve or starting a new job.
Mm.
We anticipate big changes, big improvements, real excitement.
But the day-to-day reality, it's often more mundane, isn't it? More like maintenance than revolution.
That's it. Most days are, let's be honest, a bit scratchy. A 6 out of 10, maybe less. Admin, small frustrations. But we need that forward-looking excitement to manage the gap between hope and the often dull reality.
And collectively, we do this too, believing society is always getting better.
There's a powerful collective belief in progress, that the arrow of time points inherently upwards.
But is that always true?
Well, the tricky detail we often gloss over is that pretty much every solution, every invention, it creates new problems.
Yeah.
Often really serious ones we didn't see coming.
The internet connects us, but also divides us.
Perfect example. Social media connects, but also fuels anxiety, misinformation, polarization. We focus on the immediate benefit, the connection, and kind of squint past the downsides until they're too big to ignore.
That selective focus, it seems crucial. Does it apply to how we see other people too, humanity in general?
Absolutely. We have to maintain a kind of abstract faith in humanity, right? Believe in the collective good, feel some goodwill.
Sure, we want to think well of our species.
Right. But then you get stuck in traffic, or deal with customer service, or just, interact with people closely for any length of time.
Okay, I see where this is going.
Laughs slightly.
Yeah.
Up close, individually. A lot of members of that noble species can be, well, let's just say insufferable might come to mind occasionally. We need the abstract distance to keep the faith.
It's like we need an edited version of reality. And the future, too. You mentioned we wouldn't want to know what's coming.
Think about it. We make plans, save for retirement, imagine future joys. We have to look forward. But if you could genuinely see the future script, your health, world events, the messy details,
I suspect I'd find a reason not to look.
almost certainly. The sources are quite blunt.
What?
We almost certainly would not want to know. That not knowing, that ability to hope against the odds, is profoundly productive. It lets us act.
So these aren't just big philosophical ideas. They filter down into everyday life, like shopping.
Oh, definitely. Think about consumerism. The whole economy kind of runs on this. We have to keep getting excited about buying things. That new gadget, new clothes.
That little dopamine hit of the new.
Exactly. That rush of anticipation. Even though experience tells us very few purchases actually make a lasting difference to our happiness. It's a cycle. A necessary distraction, perhaps.
And travel. Is that similar? Chasing the perfect escape?
The lure of distance, yeah. We see the glossy brochure, the perfect Instagram shot, and we build up this fantasy.
And the reality is often less glossy. Flight delays, crowds, dodgy hotels.
Precisely. Being somewhere else is nearly always better in anticipation or in memory afterwards when we filtered out the rubbish bits. We need that filter to keep wanting to go.
It seems we're constantly editing our experience. What about relationships? Friendship?
Vital. We need friends, that connection. But think about long-term friendships. How do they survive?
Shared history. Liking each other.
Yes, but also a certain amount of holding back, maybe. Politeness, necessary distance.
You mean not saying everything you think?
Could you imagine if you heard every little critical thought, every doubt, every unflattering comparison that passes through even your closest friends' minds?
Okay, no. That sounds crushing.
Exactly. Relationships thrive on a kind of functional politeness, a shared agreement not to pull back the curtain too far. We rely on the surface fiction of uncomplicated affection.
Wow. Okay. One more big one then. Aging. We all hope for that peaceful, wise old age, right?
The golden years narrative. Sitting in the garden, reflecting, maybe dispensing wisdom.
Yeah.
The source material pulls no punches here. For many, it suggests old age is less gentle reflection and more. Well, agony, aches, and catheters.
Oof. Brutal.
But we need the myth of the comfortable, dignified end. It helps us face mortality, makes the sacrifices feel worthwhile. It cushions the blow of inevitable decline.
So pulling all this together, it sounds like we're saying we shouldn't even want the full, unvarnished truth.
That seems to be the core argument. We shouldn't fool ourselves that radical, total honesty is the goal. We need just enough truth to function.
Enough to make decisions, to navigate the world.
Exactly. Enough to be effective, but not so much that we're paralyzed by fear or futility or just cosmic dread.
Okay. But then there's a final twist, isn't there? Something about not noticing the good stuff.
Ah, yes, the great paradox of enjoyment. This is maybe the most surprising bit. It's not just about ignoring the bad. It's also about actively not fully appreciating how incredibly beautiful, intricate, and amazing life can be moment to moment.
Wait, why would we need to ignore beauty? That sounds backwards.
Think about it intensely. If you were truly, fully open to the staggering beauty of a sunset, the depth of a connection, the miracle of just being here without any filters.
It might be overwhelming.
Exactly. The risk, the sources suggest, is going mad from sheer excitement or being crippled by regret for every moment not savored perfectly. We need the dullness of routine, the filters of distraction, just to stay focused enough to, make dinner or drive to work. We have to mute the ecstasy to function.
The people who seem happiest, most functional, they might not be the most brutally honest with themselves.
It turns the usual idea on its head, doesn't it? Maybe the people who really thrive, who have that energy and joy. Maybe they're the ones who are actually masters at, fruitfully lying to themselves when needed.
Masters of necessary fiction.
Precisely. Their happiness isn't proof of their absolute truthfulness, but maybe proof of their skill in managing these essential illusions.
So we've really explored this gap today, haven't we? This necessary space between the harsh realities and what we need to believe to keep going. From facing death to buying shoes, it seems self-deception is woven into the fabric of a functional life.
Which leaves a really interesting question for you, the listener, to ponder. If getting through the day, finding happiness requires this kind of masterful self-deception, what happens if you pursue absolute truth relentlessly? Do you risk grinding to a halt?
What's the optimal level of illusion for you? What's the fruitful lie that keeps your world spinning right now?
Something to think about.
Indeed. We'll leave you with that thought. Thanks for diving deep with us today.